Okay. All right, I'm recording. So I choose those signatures. I have to assign it to an account. And now when I hit new mail, or new message, sorry, you'll notice here on the right-hand side, it defaulted to the one I told it to default to, but I can choose any other signature that I've assigned to that account. Okay? Signatures are fun. Shirley has a great signature. She made it years ago. That's kind of a real neat handwritten font. All right, so that's it for signatures. Now, what I'd like to do, we're going to hit on three things real quick, or four things real quick before we go into the iPad. So, that's it for preferences. I have emailed myself something, and it's supposed to say Party of the Century as the title. And let's move this up so we can all see it. Let's actually do it this way. So I can double click on it and it brings up the mail into its own screen. Okay, anytime you double click on a mail, it brings it up into its own. I find that cumbersome. But somebody sent me this email, it was me, and it says Party of the Century on October 2nd, 2013 at 10 p.m. And the password is Open Sesame. So since it's the Party of the Century, I probably want to add it to my calendar. So if I hover over a properly formatted date, it gets this little thing like that. That's called a data detector. So watch what happens when I click on this. It shows me on my calendar where it is. And, I missed the P in Party, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to correct it and click Party of the Century. And since it came from me and it knew my address, it's in there later, it shows where it is. It filled in the date, because if you look here, it says October 2nd, 2013 at 10 p.m. Look at that, it filled it in. It assumes the party's calendar always assumes it's only an hour. You can make the party go longer if you want, okay? So, all I have to do is hit Add to Calendar. I can make corrections here. I can set alerts and reminders, which we'll talk about in Calendar, but I've added it to my calendar. Now, the person that sent this to you gave you the address of the party. And that's not anybody you have in your address book or anything else. So if I hover over the address, look at this, I get this same thing here. They're called data detectors. And when I click on that, I get the option of adding it to existing contacts or create a new contact. You don't have to enter info anymore, as long as it's properly formatted. Those are data detectors. And before we go to iOS mail, I want to create a brand new email message. And if you'll notice, the coolest things going are right here. Photo browser. You'll notice I do not have iPhoto fired up on my Mac at all. iPhoto's right there. I don't have it fired up, but when I hit photo browser, it's going to give me a peek inside my iPhoto library, which is taking a while to, there it is. So let's go find, oh, here's Sean and I were at a hockey game, preseason hockey game. So I'm going to take that over here and I'm going to drop it right into my mail. Okay? Now, that's pretty big for an email. So you'll notice right up here, I can adjust the image size. So medium's pretty good for mail. So I simply fired up Photo Browser. iPhoto is still not running. I am peeking inside of iPhoto. iPhoto's not running, and I just drug the picture over from there. I can go find another one. Let's see here if I did some America's Cup. There we go. But I got a kind of artsy picture of the of the bridge on the way there. Yes, or you can go into folders in your library. Very good point. So if here I'm in photos, but I could go down here to any of my albums. Okay? So this is the new span of the Bay Bridge, and I simply drug it over here. Well, that's pretty cool, but it gets cooler. I'm going to create new message, and now I'm going to use show stationery. And show stationery brings up this window, and you have a few built-in ones. That's new. Woohoo! There's a new save stationery. Interesting. Okay.
Did you just drag the photo? I wasn't looking.
Yeah, so I go into photo browser, and I simply drag the photo in.
And put it on the page and hit
Yep. There it is. Yeah, and I changed the size. So now let's go here to a little page. I have one stationery called Photos, all right? And let's just, for simplicity, let's just use this one. So there's, see, I've already put something in these, but if I go back over to my stationery here and I drag a photo to right there, drag the sunset photo to right there, and that one to right there. Now, when I get ready to send this, though, I need to fill in fun in the sun. I need to just type there what I want it to say. Test, etc. And then I can go ahead and send it. It doesn't save it. Well, actually, it saves these photos, but realistically, it'll fire up as a new, it's like a template. So it fires up as a template each time. So if I go here, I'm just switching what kind. See? Pretty well. Her question is how does it translate to others? Fairly well, but you can't guarantee everybody's going to see it. But the nice thing is, it will at least attach the photos as an attachment, and they should be able to read the text. This is that rich text format. Actually, this is what they call HTML mail. So HTML mail, HTML, hypertext markup language, geeky. That's what we read web pages. That's HTML. So most people, if they're viewing it in their web browser, they should be able to see it, and most email programs, they should be able to see it. No guarantees. And they use some pretty generic fonts in here so you don't get in trouble. Show stationery and photo browser. Those are two great things, and you can have fun with them. And the best part is we can now add new custom stationery. I forget how I did this. I did this letter. I think I saved it as a draft. Let me see here. Let's see here. Let's go back to my photos and click Doodles. And surely I knew you were going to ask. I should have thought of this last night. Message. I'll check it for you, okay? Because I can't remember. I can't remember how I did it. So can you guys make a note and I'll check it at lunch, rather than bog it down because we still got a decent amount to cover because there's so much in this mail. All right. So don't forget data detectors. The takeaway there is the stationery and of course those data detectors. The last thing is if you're running 10.8 on your Mac, and I go to New Message. I don't like, not for the date up here, but if I come down here in the body of it, and if I double tap my function button, you can use dictation, comma, and it is simple speech to text, period. New paragraph. I am a slow typist, comma, and I always make typos, period. This has saved me immense amounts of time, period. the function key. Double tap function, it activates the microphone. It's not Siri, it's speech to text dictation. And you have to be running 10.8 for that to do it. First time you double tap the function button, it'll ask if you want to enable dictation. And again, I wouldn't use it up on the top where we do addresses and stuff, because where you're typing in somebody's name, I mean, it really doesn't do well with proper names. But in the body or in the subject. Which, by the way, anywhere on your Mac, if you were to go to Safari and you want to search for, say, apple pie, watch this. So I go here, and I go up in the Google search, best apple pie recipe. Tap the function to end it. There it is. So dictation is anywhere you can type, you can speak.
What's the function key?
What's the function key? FN. In your case, it should be in the right over by your numbers. Think of it as a fun key. FN, it's the fun key. Alrighty. Last thing about mail is I'm going to show you. Last part about mail actually is in Safari. So I'm in Safari, right? And watch what happens here when I go up to File, Share, Email this page. And it fires up that mail in this page. But there's a little change that's happened. I can send it as a link only, which is really small, or I can send it as the whole web page. And if you send it as the web page, the links are all clickable. Okay? But it's a little bit bigger email. You can see here it's all of that. So go up to File. Oops, I'm in Mail. From Safari, I have to be in Safari. File. Actually, you can go up to File, or see this little logo right here? Same thing as on your iPhone. The little share arrow. Share. Email this page. And once it's fired up, though, right here I can send it, and it's whatever I did last time, either web page or as a link. You can send it as a PDF also, but then it's actually the links are clickable, but it's static. So you just usually send people a link. All right. So we're going to switch to the iOS device, and I will try to. Okay. So on our iOS device, first we're going to go into the preference settings. Okay, so that's settings, the gray gear. Right here, the gray gear. They've changed it a little. And then I'm going to go down on this side to Mail, Contacts, and Calendars. Okay? And here's where your accounts are. You have to set up your account. It may have come over from your other device. But now we go down here. And remember before when we previewed the lines, we have the option of how many lines we want to display on the screen on the preview. Then I click back on the arrow up there. And remember the show to and the CCC label, I'm going to turn that on. Flag style is no big deal. It just says what color is your flag going to be. Ask before deleting, that's your choice, whether you want it when you go to delete a mail, do you want it to ask you or not. Remember, it's going to move it to the trash first anyway, so I'd leave it off. Load remote images. That's when you get an email from somebody and it's got images in it. You probably want that. There's no harm that can be done with it. If you're on a really restricted data plan, you can tell it not to. Here's our organized by thread. Remember our conversational view? By default, this has organized by thread on it. If you don't like those where all your emails show up as one and the other, you can turn that on or off. Okay? Always be CC myself. That's very common to what we talked about before. Increase quote level. Is it on your device? Turn it off. Unless you really like those lines going across the whole screen. This is your little part of making the internet better. Signatures. Let's look at signatures now. Now, I have that little icon that I use for EmpowerMac for me that looks like me, the little guy in the shorts and the glasses. Well, I've tried to put him in here, and it works for a little while, and then it goes away. So we think they'll fix that eventually. So if we go to signature, now in signature, remember how we had to make signatures, and then we had to assign them to an account? They do it a little differently here. I can say whatever signature I make applies to all accounts, okay? Or if I do per account, I can make a different signature for different accounts.
Yeah, I just have set for my iPad.
Set for my iPad is the default one, but you can edit that.
But I don't have, oh, sorry, hit that.
Now, if you'll notice, I put on mine because I use Siri a lot, and while Siri's my girlfriend, she can make mistakes. I mean, her first mistake was dating me, but I take something on there like it. And in fact, if you look at my iPhone, it's a little bit more detailed. Sorry if the message is, Kurt has typos or weird insertions from Siri. I used to have a more extensive one on my iPad that says, Siri's my girlfriend and she's not perfect, but, you know. So, anyway. So are you on all accounts or per account? Okay. So if you do one signature on all accounts, all you do is tap on all accounts and you have a window there. Just tap in the window and start editing, and just like you would a normal document if you watch on my screen. Or you could have that at the bottom and put your signature, put what you want for a signature above or below that. You're simply editing this text. No, it doesn't support images yet, but it will support hyperlinks like to web pages or email addresses. No. There's,
I only have one account because all I have.
if you have one account, then it probably says all accounts or just signature.
It says nothing, just the edit.
But then it gives you the chance to edit it. Everybody there? Everybody got where they are signatures? Because signatures are fun. I want you guys to be able to do them. And again, because of Siri, you may want to have different ones.
Oh,
You're in messages. So mail Oh, no problem. So there's your different message. See how it sure is a little indented right there? You can fix that. So you just...
But we can't change the font.
No. But you know your cool little font? We'll check that sometime. We might be able, because it's a render font, it's not an image.
Right.
We might be able to do that, but see, the problem is iOS devices dumb it down, and it's really not so much that, it's kind of dumbing down the way all the internet is now for getting things to be seen. All right, so that's signatures. Everybody got that? Any questions? All right, below that, default account. Now, this is important. If you have multiple accounts, remember when we did composing in mail and we said, well, if I do a new message, send it from this account. That's all this default account is. If I have multiple email accounts, I want it to go from this one. But still, if you hit reply, it will go from the account it was sent to. Is that clear? If you only have one account, you don't need to change that. So, let's hit our home button and get back to mail. Click on your little envelope and go to mail. Now, in the upper left, let's talk about navigation here. So, is everybody on all inboxes or just they have one inbox? Is that what it says at the top? Inbox or all inbox? Okay, what's it say in the upper left? Okay, click on mailboxes in the upper left, and it should get to this screen with your boxes, okay? Everybody there? Perfect, you're there. Everybody there? So now, what are these little accounts down below? Well, the upper part are your inboxes. But if I click down here, I can go down in and there's my sent and my other things if I do want to check them. Did I send that message out? I can't remember. I can go into my other accounts and then do it. Now remember, don't just click on the inbox here if you have multiple accounts. Go back up to mailboxes in the upper left and go back and click on all inboxes. Okay? Those of you who don't have a single account, don't worry about it. So on the left-hand side, you've got your table of contents of your mail. But let's go up here and let's click on search. And you can type in whether it's someone's name that's sent to you, whether it's a title, whatever it is. Let's just type test. Oh, here's email test from Sean. See, and what's new is in iOS 7, it actually highlights the word that it's searching under. Before, you had to search whether it was from or to or subject or all. iOS 7 has more robust built-in search. This is a bit of a problem, though, too, because now you would want to only search for to or from, but in this case, it searches them all. I don't know that you have an ability to change it. But it does highlight the word you're searching for, which is really useful. Okay? So the other thing is always hit cancel when you're done here. So did everybody search okay? Shirley? Got it? Eleanor? Search work for you? Good. That's huge. I mean, it really, really is because you get a lot of emails. So just tap, go to inbox and hit search. By the way, if you want to search just sent messages, you would go to your sent box and search within that. Okay, so that's search and that's huge. What are these little icons across the top? The first one is flag. So sometimes some people use flags, I don't. But the other thing, the flag is a way for it to show up in your mail like, ooh, I've got to act on this. And it will flag it. Let's flag Party of the Century. So I'm going to hit the flag. And then I have the option when I hit the flag of flagging the message. I can mark it as unread, which means the blue dot will reappear on my other devices. Or I can move it to junk, and this is new in iOS 7. Move to junk will help us learn junk folders here. We didn't have junk in iOS 6. So if I flag it, if you look on the left, there it's flagged with a color, okay? It's just a way to kind of highlight the mail for yourself. The next one is, if you have folders set up, you might have a work folder, you might have a upcoming trip folder, anything like that. That's what the folders icon is. And if you tap on folders, it shows you your existing folders, and you don't drag your mail to it. You simply tap the folder you want to be your destination. Okay? But remember, it's going to take it out of your inbox. We don't have that option of copying it to the folder. So I'm going to hit cancel because it's Party of the Century. I don't want to lose it. I'm sorry? Wait, do you need folders set up when you do it? Probably because you're a key part of it. There you go. No, it's left hand, just tap the left hand. That's it. So hit cancel up there and go to the right. Because you do have folders at the same. No, because you haven't created them. You actually have to create those on the Mac or go directly into your email server like with Safari going into it. You can't create a folder here. Okay? I should say you can't create a folder here yet. Well, the next one's really tough. You can delete it. But you know what? I have a ton of people go crazy trying to delete all their emails from their iPad and their iPhone. Don't. Because what happens is your device only shows the 50 most recent emails from whatever account you're looking at. And if I delete one up here, it's just going to bring an older one in off the server. It's always going to show 50. So who cares? Let it scroll off the bottom. The new mail will rise to the top. If you delete it, you can delete it if you want, and then if you have IMAP, it'll delete it on your other devices. But if you just leave it there, there's no sense because an older one will come in behind because they're still on the server. Unless you're one of those that has what's called zero inbox, where you always keep your inbox, your real inbox on the server, very, very low. That'll work. But otherwise, there's no point in deleting it. It doesn't do anything for you. And the weird thing is, you'll notice I have these messages with the 2 lines of information with them, along with the subject. These emails aren't really on my device. They're not taking up any room until I click on it. They're just showing me the headline, and that's very minimal. It takes up no room. Don't worry, mail doesn't take up room on these devices. So the next is the action arrow, and it does a lot of things. So when I tap the action arrow, this has changed. Reply forward, save the 2 images. In fact, I could save them directly to my camera roll, couldn't I? And print. If you have an AirPrint compatible printer, you would print directly from this. So that action arrow does a lot. Now, when I hit reply, let's go to one, let's see if I got a reply all. Here's a good one. So if I here, notice I have an option for reply all now. The first mail I showed you only had reply because there weren't multiple addresses. Reply all is an option because there were multiple addresses. Okay? And the last one is, with the little piece of paper with a pencil on it, is new message. To create a new message. Now, we talk about BCC. On your iOS device, we need to tap right here where it says BCC, and then it exposes, I'm sorry, it said CC. It exposes the BCC. Okay? And again, you start typing somebody's email. Like if I start typing Sean's email, it autofills. And I want to show you something that's kind of unique. So I'm going to type in, I test this one earlier. So I typed in Sue. Sue Harms is in my address book. Sue Brown is in my address book. But look at the little information I next to Sue Cerrone. It's a good friend of mine's wife. Well, she's not in my address book, but I've sent or received mail to her. So if I click on that, I have the option to add it to my contacts. So it's the autofill, which reminds me we need to go back to mail and talk about previous recipients also. So that's new in iOS 7, by the way. Okay.
If we select BCC, it's not going to go to CC, right?
So if you select BCC, whatever's in BCC only goes, nothing else shows. But if you did have something in CC, everybody in BCC would see the CC. So remember my party of the century? Well, here's how it looks on an iOS device. It's underlined. So I could tap that and hold. I tap and hold. Create event, show in calendar, or copy, but create event or show in calendar. Same thing with my data detector at the bottom. If I press and hold, add to contacts, copy, send message. But if I just tap that address, watch what happens. I'm just going to tap it. It fires it up in EmpowerMac. Want to see that again? Okay, my hands will never leave my wrists. Guaranteed. So I'm back in Mail. If I press and hold, I get send message, add to contacts, and copy. If I simply tap on it, it fires it up in EmpowerMac. If it's an address. Yeah, these iPads, they can't do anything. And everything I'm showing you applies on the iPhone. It's just easier for you to see the iPad screen. Okay, back to Mail. So, we talked earlier about who has Siri, who doesn't have Siri. And we showed you how on the Mac we can do dictation. But I'm going to do a brand new email, and I'm going to hit New Message. I'm going to tap in the body. And if you have Siri on your device, you will have a microphone right here. That microphone is really simple. It's speech to text, and it's literal. And I'm going to show you how that works. I tap it one time, and you'll notice while I'm talking, you'll see a little wave, and it'll show you what the strength of my voice is. You don't have to talk very loud at all. It's very, very good, and it works well in a crowded environment. Sean and I were at a preseason hockey game down in San Jose, and I was able to text my nephew using Siri in a loud arena. So, I'm tapping the microphone, I wait for it to beep, and then I start dictating, and remember, you use punctuation. If you'll notice, comma, the voice wave at the bottom shows you the intensity with which you're speaking, period. New paragraph. Don't forget, you must speak your punctuation, exclamation mark. If you want to say the word, quote, new, close quote, and the word, quote, paragraph, close quote, and you say them together, you get a double space, period, new paragraph. If you say the word new and the word line, you get single line spacing, new line. That's how it works. If you want to say numbers, you say numeral 1. So it timed out after 30 seconds, and there it is. It didn't get my numeral 1.
Does it just do it for 30 seconds?
Does it for 30 seconds, and then I can start over where I left off, or start again where I left off. So remember, it didn't do numeral 1, numeral 2, and numeral 5. New paragraph. If I say 125, it does that, comma, or better yet, comma, it says $1,350, period. I said numeral 1, numeral 2, and numeral 5. Now remember earlier I said if you say the word new and the word paragraph, you say them together, you get a double space, and then I said new paragraph. It gives me double spacing. If you say the word new and the word line, you get single line station. That's incorrect. It's me mumbling. Don't blame Siri. It's me. That's how it works. If you want to say the numerals 1, 2, and 5, because watch what happens. If I say 1, it just types it out longhand. If I say 5, it types it out longhand. If I say numeral 1, or I say numeral 5, it gives you the integer. You don't have Siri. You have to have Siri for this to work, and this isn't Siri yet. I'm going to show you how it's Siri in a second. All right, there it is. See if I say 1. Oh, if I say 1, it just types it longhand. If I say 5, it types it out longhand. If I say 1 or I say 5, it gives you the integer. But I say numeral 1, not number 1, numeral 1. Okay? And you noticed earlier I did quotes. You say quote, the word, then closed quote. So why do I need to type? Especially on a little iPhone keyboard. It's kind of both. You have to have an iPad mini or newer, an iPad 3 or newer, an iPhone 4S for Siri, or an iPhone 5 or 5S. Okay, so the difference with this is with Siri, I can do some other stuff. I'm going to show you one. I'm going to type in or have it do its literal dictation. I'm drunk. New paragraph. Will I need a jacket tonight? Okay, so it types literally what I say.
Right.
So let's go back to. I'm going to close this. I'm going to hit cancel. And first of all, if you have Siri, I can say launch mail. There it launched mail. But what's better than that is I'm on my home screen. I'm going to press and hold the home button. Send Sean Vogwell an email.
Which email address for Sean Vogwell?
Work.
What's the subject of your email?
Just testing Siri.
Okay, what would you like the email to say?
Hi, Sean, comma. Thanks for your help today, period. This is just a test of Siri, comma. I'll let you use my girlfriend as long as you return her, period. I have not touched the screen the whole time.
Here's your message to Sean Vogwell. Ready to send it?
Yes, send it.
What's next? Okay, Ken, I'll send it.
So what if you wanted to correct his name to be what it really is instead of
Ah, good point. And I didn't see that. If I tap it, I don't know if it'll let me edit it now. So let's go into a mail. And let's go into my sent and see if it's there.
That's why you put I use Siri to text me.
You can tell her to do different. Send my friend Sean, or if I just send Sean Vogwell, it would look in my contacts. Let's go in here and do a new mail. And proper names are tough. Hi, Sean, comma, what is the weather today? Question mark. See, and it spelled his name wrong. But if it gets a word that's wrong and it underlines it in blue, I'm trying to get it to do a wrong word, comma. Hopefully it will come up, period. This is frustrating, comma. Siri has been getting too good. She continuously does the best recognition, albeit. Yeah. Anyway, it'll have a blue underline, and when it has a blue underline, you tap on it, and it gives you other choices that it might have done. You will never find a misspelling, because the way this works, remember we did this text-to-speech in the beginning, where I simply did text-to-speech. It records for up to 30 seconds what I'm saying, sends it out over the internet to Maiden, North Carolina, and that computer crunches it and says, here's this recording from Ken. Let's turn it into text. Let's make sure all the words are in a dictionary, because that's also how it finds out your diction, and then sends it back. But it's going to be pretty bad with 2, 2, and 2.
Right.
So you got to put up with that. So that's why my thing says, please excuse Siri. But what Siri is, it takes that speech to text one step further and introduces artificial intelligence. And I'll show you how that is. And hopefully you can hear this. I'm drunk. So is she. And actually, I want to use my phone for the next one.
I'm really sorry about this, but I can't take any requests right now.
Who else is using her? I'm drunk.
Just don't breathe on me.
And it says, call me a taxi. And that's a geographically based taxi service
I
nearby.
found 5 cab companies. Tap the one you want to call.
Tap the one I want to call. Well, remember, in fact, let me hook this up to the speaker. This will take a little wrangling. So once,
I guess you can go.
yeah, I'll show you that.
Okay.
So I have to reconnect us here for the screen. Come on, AirPlay. Well, I need a jacket tonight.
The low will be 57 degrees Fahrenheit tonight.
I didn't say what will the low be. I said, well, I need a jacket. And she said it'll be 57. Let me turn the volume down a little here. Hang on. GPS. GPS knows where I am.
I guess you could need a jacket in Sacramento.
Well, what's the current temperature in Paris, France?
The high for tonight in Paris, France will be 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and the low will be 61 degrees Fahrenheit.
Convert 61 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Checking. 61 degrees Fahrenheit converts to about 16.1 degrees Celsius.
Convert 350 euros to US dollars.
Let me check on that. 350 euros converts to about 473.29 US dollars.
So, that's a tease of Siri in iOS 7, but I wanted to show you how you can send an email, a text message, and stuff too, because the class there was on mail. So, I'm going to move on to contacts and to calendar, and the timing will actually work out pretty well. So, in contacts on the Mac, who here uses groups in their contacts? Okay. Unfortunately, we thought it would happen in iOS 6. We thought it would happen in iOS 7. But there are no contacts or groups cannot be created on your iOS device. If they're created on your computer, they will propagate to your device. But let me show you a little another trick, because there's a lot of people now that don't have a Mac. So, because I've got iPad people come over. Believe it or not, you can go to iCloud.com and create groups there too, and it'll work. But
So if they're not, so I have hundreds of groups and all these contacts created on that.
Okay.
They're not converting, they're not automatically converting. Is that?
well, look on if you have your sync set up correctly, yes, they should. So if you look at my screen here, I have all contacts with all iCloud. I mean, these go way back. These go back to my T616 phone. Okay, these are just old contacts. And if we look, we'll move that over. I'm going to go to my iPad. And if I go to contacts on my iPad, and I go to groups, there's all the same groups there that I have here. Okay? And they will sync in the cloud. They just cannot, a group cannot be created on the iOS device. But here's the important thing on an iOS device. Many people accidentally, where it says all contacts there, right up here, if I'm in contacts, or in groups rather, if I tap that, it turns them all off. So you could say, oh, I just want to see the dive one, or I want to do dive in class of 74, or select them. You just tap on them. But realistically, just hit all contacts, and you'll have all your contacts. Okay? Same thing happens on your Mac. You usually select all contacts, but if I click on the same dive group we just talked about, boom, there was people that used to come to our dive videos, okay? So here you don't have to select them. You select the one you want. You don't turn them on or turn them off. Okay. So, how do we make a new group? On the Mac, you simply hit up in here. So you go to all contacts, and let's say you select a few people. You go up to File, and don't do Smart Groups. You select either make a new group or new group from selection. Okay? So if I have one highlighted, I can make the new group from selection. That's groups. We won't spend a lot of time on groups, but well, it sounds like a bunch of people are using it already. And don't forget, you can drag people to a group. I can take this and I move it over to a group, for instance. But what's funny, actually, let's go to EmpowerMac. So here's Alan Marcus. So I'm going to go to all contacts. And if I go to Alan Marcus, there he is. Watch what happens when I try drag him to EmpowerMac. It won't let me. Because he's already there, so it won't let you duplicate. It used to be it lets you throw it over there, but it wouldn't duplicate it. So if the person's already in your group, so how many times when you're adding people to a group, oh man, did I add her to the group or not? And you try to drag her to the group, oh, I can't. It's already in the group. And the group, just like when you make playlists in iTunes and you make albums in iPhoto, groups are the same thing. You have your first big set of all your contacts, and then all the groups are is pointers to those contacts. You're not duplicating the contact. All right, so I'm going to go back to Mail quickly to show you two things. One thing we forgot, and another thing how groups work in your mail. I fired up a new message, and in my groups I have one called Maquettes. Okay? So I go to 2, and I just start typing Maquettes, and look at this. It autofills Maquettes, and when I hit return, there's everybody that's on the Maquettes mailing list. You cannot do it on your iOS device. Yet. iOS 25 might allow it. And the funny thing is you don't think that the email address is there, but remember it's underneath. Now you would put them in CC or 2 or whatever. But also, I wanted to point out, somebody asked earlier about previous recipients. So I'm going to misenter someone. I'm going to enter CKS return. Well, there's nobody that's CKS, okay? It didn't autofill. How many of you put in somebody's first name and that's it, and then all of a sudden it's in your book? So I'm going to hit that, don't save. I'm going to fire up new email, new message. I'm going to type CKS or CKS. Boom. No, it's not filling it in. Probably at 123.com, let's say. Okay. Probably because I didn't send it. Let's send it, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, when I go to a new message, if I type CKS, see it? CKS123 is down there. Well, that's not a correct email address. So I have to click on it and put it in my address bar. And now I click just the little triangle. There's a little triangle shows up, and I say remove from previous recipients list. Because inevitably, you've put somebody's name in, and it's a totally wrong address, but every time you start typing it, it puts in the wrong address. So remove from previous recipients list, and watch what happens. Now when I type CKS, it doesn't autofill. But I'm going to show you the second tip to this. Right up here in the word window. Click on window and come down to previous recipients, and you'll get this big window here. Now, what's up with this window? You'll notice a few of the people here. There's my undeliverable. You notice these little cards here? That means they're in my address book. Thomas Ballard is not in my address book. I can also go through here and, oh, you know, Craigslist thing, they're not in my address book. These are the things that would autofill. If I start typing Craigslist, it would autofill the Craigslist one. But if they're in your address book, you have to actually go correct it and fix it in your address book. But this is your previous recipients list, and I can go right in here like I don't care about this Craigslist thing. I hit that, and I just click remove from list. Boom, done. Okay? On the other hand, down here is Jim Basich, let's say. He's not in my address book. I can add him to my address book right from there. And how I got to this window again was in mail, window, previous recipients. Okay? There's no card on the side.
Oh, no.
It's a little picture. It looks like an old Rolodex card. All right. So quickly back to contacts. The other high point in contacts is we want to go to our preferences in contacts. And the template is, well, first of all, general. So your sort order. So do you want to show the first name first or the last name first? Apple kind of has a weird nomenclature with this. Show first name before last name or following last name. It's just a different way to do it. But also, do I want to sort by first name or last name? I choose to sort by first name. By the way, you have to do that on your iOS device also, and they don't coincide. But if I go over here to template, in my template, I have a lot of fields, but I can add a certain field, like a phonetic first and last name. This is where you would add birthdays. If you don't have it on there already, you add birthdays. Mine are checked. It's already there. And the reason you want birthdays is because, let's see if I have my brother in here. Gordon. Yes, it goes and syncs with your calendar. So my brother, oh, I don't have his birthday in here. So I'll click edit. Well, I know what it is. It's October 2nd. So that's the same day as the party of the century. 10 to, boy, don't know when. So it just says October 2nd. What's really cool is when it goes over to your calendar, if you have the year in there, it'll show you which birthday it is coming up for that person. So that's contacts. Again, the template under preferences. That's where you need to add fields if you want more and more. Go ahead.
I have a strange question. My mom has anybody old email addresses.
That you want to delete?
Yeah, and they're not in my contacts, but when I was overseas trying to email, they're in my
In your autofill or in your contacts?
autofill.
Autofill, you can't do previous recipients on here. You'd have to do it on your Mac to get rid of them.
Oh, so because it doesn't show.
But here's what happens in autofill. When something autofills and you keep tapping on one, it says, oh, that's the one you want, and what it does is the frequency of that rises it to the top so it becomes your first choice, whether it's on the Mac or the iOS device.
So how do I, okay, I thought I didn't care about autofill, but I guess because on here, I only have one address under contact.
Yeah, but if you start autofilling and you had sent it from this device, it would have done those other ones. You probably are too new on that. We'll check that one in particular. Autofill in mail. Well, autofill's automatic in mail. On the iOS device, let's go to iOS. Let's go to settings. Mail, contacts, and calendars. No, it's automatic here. It's on Safari is the only one you can turn on and off. It's always automatic.
So how do I get rid of 4?
You can't get rid of it on the iOS device. Just don't tap on it. And the right one will start rising to the top and be the one.
Can I change it in here?
Actually, what you can do is, rather than typing her name, if you know the first few letters of her actual email address, that's the one it'll autofill. It doesn't have to be their name when you autofill. It can be their email address also.
The same, exactly.
Like for Sean. Sean is S. Vogel, right? So if I go to Sean's name...
Can I never get rid of it on the iPhone? Can I go into my Mac and get rid of it?
Not if it's not showing up there. Go to previous recipient, see if it's there. But they don't. That doesn't sync. We'll address that. That doesn't sync. All right. So, again, contacts, groups, and remember we were able to add contacts direct from mail. So now we're going to go into calendar. So contacts is virtually the same on iOS, except you cannot. Two things. You cannot do groups. But what's really important is you also want to do a My Card, which is all your information. The first time you go to a website and it fills in an address and all that other stuff, you go, where'd they get that? How do they know? I've never been here before. You want to do the My Card, which is where you fill in all your information.
So that's, you can edit that.
Yeah, and your My Card. And that way, if you have an incorrect address or an old address that it starts to autofill, you can do it. And then how do we do this on the iOS device? You go to Settings, and you'll notice down here, under Contacts, so the first top, Mail, Contacts, and Calendar is where we are. We have Mail. Then we go down, and we say Contacts. Remember the sort order we talked about a minute ago, and the display order. Short name, which just means when you put the mail up there, it's the person's short name. And then the one is My Info. You pick your person in the address book. That's very important for Siri. When I tell Siri, hey, take me home, it's got to know my home address. So while we're on the screen, since we're moving to calendars now,
Is this the name? I'm sorry, the short name is My Card.
it's called the My Card on your computer, and here it's just your My Info. See My Info? You would go find your name in your address book.
Got it.
And it probably, if it already had done it from your Mac, it will automatically find it. It'll be the default. So, new invitation alerts. What that means if somebody sends me a calendar invitation, which we'll talk about in a second. Time zone support, I would recommend leaving it off. There are some problems with that. For instance, Pete almost missed a speaking thing because he made it from a different time zone and it self-corrected. So, sync, how far back you want it to do. Default alert times. In other words, when you make a new appointment, you can set it to default to 15 minutes or what before the appointment. Start week on, nobody did that. And then the default calendar is important. You want your default calendar on your iOS device to be the same default calendar on your calendar on your Mac, default calendar. Now, it doesn't mean, just like when we sent mail from different accounts, you can create an event on any calendar you want, but you want your default calendars to be the same. And most of you probably, I have one client who has like 35 calendars. You know what? If you can get by with one, that's fine. You can search and do everything else. So switching quickly to the Mac, when we go into Preferences and Calendar, in general, you do want to select these are not selected by default. Show birthday calendar, and the other one is show event times. That's showing this over here. Don't ask me why Apple does this. This is how they ship it. It doesn't show these event times. Like I really want to see that whole word historical instead of an event time. Select show event times. Okay?
Delete.
An event?
Event.
Click on it and just hit your delete key, or on that device. On the iOS device, surely. So here I go. I'm just going to make a new event right. Oh, actually, let's go to Party of the Century. That was October 2nd, right? Look at this. We have Party of the Century on October 2nd. Do you guys remember the password?
Open Sesame.
Ah, but if you didn't, but there was a map to the party too.
Yeah.
So if I click on this, double click on this, sorry, there's the information. And look at this. Since I made it from mail, it says show me that mail. So if I click on that, it fires up that mail, and there's Open Sesame and the map to the location.
Tell us to do that, or it just did that on the...
Because I made the event, this only works on the Mac, because I made this event from mail, it links back to that email from the calendar.
Did you have something clicked in settings to
Nope.
do that?
When I made the event from it, it always adds the mail to it.
That's not very handy.
What's that?
That's not very handy. I mean, if I'm driving and what's that address? I can't go to calendar and click on it and it won't bring up.
Oh, because it also put the location in. Remember, only because on that same map I had it look, it shows location. Yeah, it will. So if I go on the iOS device, hang on, you pull over to the side. So let's go to Party of the Century, October 2nd. Party of the Century, and look at this. Oh, iOS 7, brand new, ding, 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 ding. Showing mail, that's new. That's new in iOS 7. Glad we did it. But you notice the data, or the address up there? Watch this. Come on. Let's see. Interesting.
And what if I just added the address?
No, you can do it in notes and stuff, but if I go to the mail, obviously it'll do it. So show message in mail. This is cool. That's so nice. So now when I go to mail, I simply hit that, and boom, it takes me to it.
Amazing. Amazing.
So again, it's this interactivity between them all. Now we're a little over time, but I have to show you what really makes this all fit together is Siri. So I'm going to go and fire up my calendar on my iOS device, and let's look at a day. Perfect. I'm going to schedule something for October 5th. So schedule a date with Siri on October 5th at noon.
Okay, I can create your meeting. Note that you already have 3 events that overlap with this. Shall I schedule it anyway?
No, cancel.
Okay, you're probably way too busy anyway.
Because it knows I'm Ken because I told it, but also because that's in the My Card. So, how easy is that to schedule something with Siri? Let's create a schedule a test appointment tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Okay, I can create your meeting. Note that you already have an all-day appointment about EmpowerMac for tomorrow. Shall I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
It's on your calendar for 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay. So now, if you'll notice, it'll propagate to my other devices. First of all, I want to show you here. Let's go to today. And it's already there. Test at 1 p.m. tomorrow. You notice the lower left? Okay. But let's go to my iOS device, or my iPad rather. And it's now here. Oh, my computer went down. There we go. So it is there. But I don't know if those of you that use on your iOS device, I used to use a thing called List all the time because it's really cumbersome. I'll go to Calendar on my iPhone too. It's really cumbersome to look at the screen like this. This really hidden feature in iOS is look at the little magnifying glass at the top that's really signifies search, right? If I tap that, it now brings, oops, cancel. It brings up my list of events in order. Same thing with that. And if we look at tomorrow, you can see I have a test appointment. So it's the little magnifying glass that not only gives you a search window, it now gives you the list format again. Okay, that's huge. Because you used to be able to choose your calendar.
If you had said that when you were trying to input an appointment, and you said you have 3 contacts, you want to schedule it anyway, you could have said, what are the other appointments? And substitute this one.
When is my next appointment? I don't think it can do that. I don't think she can delete appointments, which is good. When is my next appointment? Could be the internet. There we go.
Your next appointment is at 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Cancel test appointment tomorrow. Don't know if this
Shall I
will.
remove it from your calendar?
That's new. Yes.
I took it off your calendar.
So, we're losing 2 of you after the break. You're going to miss notes and reminders. Ooh. Oh, let me stop the recording. So what was your question? That's okay.
That's here, and I don't have it yet, so, and I'm not looking
Okay.
at it, so. Thank you.
Oh, so you asked earlier too. So if you'll notice, every time Siri's up, you see a little question mark. If you tap that, she shows you what she can do. And I just say, what can I say? So the thing with Siri is, think about the action. So I always, again, go back to the scenario where you have an executive with an assistant out in the front office. And you wouldn't just say,
Sorry about this, but I can't.
you wouldn't just say, lunch. You'd say, schedule lunch with Dorothy at 1 p.m. And if you tell it to Siri that way, it'll work. So, or I can just say, schedule an event. And she prompts you.
Okay. When's the event?
Tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Okay, I can create your meeting. Note that you already have an all-day event about
So
EmpowerMac.
I just canceled her.
So start with the verb.
Well, or put it in there somewhere. Schedule. And remember, things, she's pretty good because remember, well, I need a jacket tonight was, what's the low temperature going to be? All right? That was a hell of a lot of information. Go ahead, Shirley.
No, I just wondered how you change on your calendar the year, the birth date, so that you could enter completely.
You do it in address book
Okay.
and put the birth date in address book and then we'll propagate to the calendar. If the year they're born, they're going to just, like I put in my brother's, but I didn't put a year, but it knows October 2nd every year.
Okay, okay, I understand that, but I wanted to put the serial date just in case it's 51.
So if you know his, no, but if you go into the address book and put the year he was born, it will calculate it for you.
Okay.
Yes, here's like my mom's. I have my mom's in her. Kay Spencer's 89th birthday was September 3rd.
I hope you did something.
Oh no, it's just mom. No. No, we went to Fat's Asian Bistro. We did some other stuff. Her house looked like a florist shop. So, all right, I'm going to stop recording.
So here's my takeaway. Not everything syncs. So all my problems about things not syncing isn't just
Not everything syncs on your. Well, wait.